He just said, I think we won. Nacho Beristain, I think we won by a minimum of 3 to 4 points because we really made him look ridiculous. Nobody has made him miss the way Juan did. We imposed ourselves tactically, and he made him miss all night. What the fuck? Was he watching the same fight as everyone else? Juan Marquez made Tim Bradley miss all night? Are you serious? When he landed nearly 35% of his jabs? When he was right up there with connect percentages with Juan Manuel Marquez. He was right up there, and he landed more punches. How is he saying he missed them all night when Marquez did not even land more punches than Tim Bradley? Absurd. Marquez made him run around the ring. And I do not think throwing punches and running, you can never win a fight like that. Well, how is using foot movement running? Just because you don't teach your fighters how to move their feet. And in fact, Johnny Gonzalez is a pretty good mover himself. In fact, he moves around the ring. Are you going to say he's running? No, because that's Johnny Gonzalez. Nacho Beristain is absurdly talking about this fight like Marquez dominated with 3 to 4 points. Get this guy out of here. It's sad to say I'm happy Nacho Beristain is not a judge because he would be extremely biased towards Mexican counterpunchers. Let's continue. Oh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Nacho Beristain only embarrasses himself when he says dumb shit like this over, and it's always after a fight where one of the Marquez brother loses. They're in a close fight, semi-close. And Marquez, lost enough rounds to where he couldn't come back in the fight. He lost 7 rounds. Of the first 10, he lost 7 rounds. It's hard for me to give him 5 rounds. If I can't give a fighter 5 rounds, he's not winning the fight. And for all those people who think this is some kind of a highway robbery type gig, what rounds do you think Marquez won? Let's be honest here. Which rounds did Marquez win? Round 1, okay. Round 4 was close, okay. Then what? You think he swept 9 to 12? Because, okay, in between, in the middle half of the fight, this is where Tim Bradley dominated Marquez. This is where the foot movement befuddled him, and that's why Nacho Beristain was pleading with Marquez to throw more punches. And, I got the clip on my... I'll put it as a video response. I got the audio of Nacho pleading with Marquez to throw more punches and to stop waiting on Tim Bradley, because Tim Bradley is doing to Marquez what he does to other fighters. He was a superior counterpuncher in there. So now Nacho gets asked how surprised he was with the card. Shout out to Louis Sandoval out of Boxing State. He did this interview. And of course, he's like, oh, I already knew every time they award the weight. Come on, you didn't know shit, okay? You would have been happy out of your mind if Marquez got that victory. And he was lucky enough to have an argument because one dumbass judge gave Marquez 7 rounds. It's ridiculous. And, I'm not the only person that thinks this about Nacho Beristain. In fact, all you gotta do is ask Marquez's promoter what he thinks about Nacho, and he'll tell you straight up, because the dude is the trainer, a great trainer. I did a list of top 5 trainers. I have him up there, but he is disrespectful and cannot take a loss. So this is what Bob Arum had to say about Nacho Beristain.
Again, fucking up the sport. Would you shut the hell up? You're entitled to your opinion. There's nothing wrong with boxing. People judge, they judge fairly, some judge for you, some judge against you. Be man enough to accept the verdict of the judges.
You know, that's what he's got to learn. Be man enough to accept the verdict of the judges. You know, just because you've been in a few controversial fights does not mean you have the right to just fucking disrespect the opponent completely that gave your fighter huge problems. You know, in terms of the 4 Manny Pacquiao fights Juan Marquez had, he had not lost this clearly in those 4 fights. So how can you really look down upon Tim Bradley when he beat Marquez more convincingly than Pacquiao ever did?
God damn it.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought you were not educated, but I'm talking and people deserve to listen to what Nacho said. I'm sorry.
What Nacho says is crap.
That's right. What Nacho says is crap.
You want to say it?
Yeah, I said it.